Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jayo Krishna Balaram, Jayo Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jayo Krishna Balaram. Jayo Nittai Gauranga, Jayo Nittai Gauranga, Nittai Gauranga, Jayo Nittai Gauranga. Jayo Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 12, Text number 38. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Dishtya-tvam vibhuta shrestha. Dishtya-tvam vibhuta shrestha. Swam nishtham atmana stitaha. Swam nishtham atmana stitaha. Yanme stri rupaya svairam. Yanme stri rupaya svairam. Mohitopi angamayaya. Mohitopi angamayaya. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Dishtatvam vibudha shrestha. Swam nishtam atmanastitaha. Yanme Sri Rupaya Svairam. Mohitopi Angamayaya. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Dishtyasvam Vibudha Shrestha. Tvam Nishtam Atmanastitaha. Yanme Sri Rupaya Svairam. Mohitopi Angamayaya. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Dvishtya-tvam vibudha shrestha. Swam nishtham atmanastitaha. Yanme Sri Rupaya Svairam. Mohitopi Angamayaya. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Dishtya-tvam vibudha shrestha. Swam nishtam atmanastitaha. Yanme Sri Rupaya Svairam. Mohitopi Angamayaya. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Dishtya-tvam vibudha shrestha. Swam nishtam atmanastitaha. Yanme Sri Rupaya Svairam. Mohitopi Angamayaya. Word to word translation. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Dhishtya, all auspiciousness. Tvam, unto you. Vibudha Shrestha, O best of all the demigods. Swam, in your own. Nishtham, fixed situation. Atmana, of your own self. Stitaha, you are situated. Yat, as. Me, mine. Stri Rupaya, appearance like a woman. Swairam, sufficiently. Mohitaha, enchanted. Api, in spite of. Anga, O Lord Shiva. Mayaya, by my potency. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O best of the demigods, although you have been amply harassed because of my potency in assuming the form of a woman, you are established in your position. Therefore, may all good fortune be unto you, be upon you. Purport. Since Lord Shiva is the best of the demigods, he is the best of all devotees. Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhuhu. His exemplary character was therefore praised by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gave his benediction by saying, "May all good fortune be upon you." When a devotee becomes a little proud, the Supreme Lord sometimes exhibits his supreme power to dissipate the devotee's misunderstanding. After being amply harassed by Lord Vishnu's potency, Lord Shiva resumed his normal, unagitated condition. This is the position of a devotee. A devotee should not be agitated under any circumstances, even in the worst reverses. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 6.22, Yasmin sito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. Because of his full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a devotee is never agitated, even in the greatest trials. This pridelessness is possible only for the first class devotees, of whom Lord Shambhu is one. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Itinamine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasyata Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaurabhaktarunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O best of the demigods, although you have been amply harassed because of my potency in assuming the form of a woman, you are established in your position. Therefore, may all good fortune be upon you." We see here one of the greatest devotees of the Lord, and then very exalted personality like Lord Shiva, of his own accord actually, because he asked for it, going through certain level of bewilderment, and he becomes situated back in his unagitated position. So this Mohini avatar, and especially Lord Shiva's bewilderment, is a very interesting lesson for all of us to understand the nature of this material world. So let us see a little bit of the story here, what exactly happened. So after Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva came during the churning of the ocean, right? He was also present, right, for some time. When was that? Right? When the poison was produced, the demigods requested him, and he came and very graciously took away the poison so that they can continue with their churning. So after this, all this incident of Mohini Murti coming and taking away the nectar from the demons who were fighting among themselves, right? and giving it to the demigods. We heard of all of that. After that, there was a fight between the demons and the demigods. And Indra very resoundingly defeated the demons. And so Lord Shiva, heard this. So in the Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami said, after hearing of these pastimes, Lord Shiva, who is carried by a bull, went to the place where Madhusudana, the Lord, resides, accompanied by his wife Uma and surrounded by his companions, the ghosts. Lord Shiva went there to see the Lord's form as a woman. Right? Because he heard of this thing, that how in the Mohini avatar we heard last class when we were discussing. Directly she is telling the demons, hey, you should not believe me, I am a prostitute, what is this, you're all exalted people, why are you listening to me, I'll cheat you and all that. Still there, no problem, please. And Lord Shiva is like, very interestingly conversation this happens. The Lord Vishnu welcomed them and with great respect, and after being seated, Lord Shiva duly worshipped the Lord and simply spoke as follows. Right? There's a whole verses in praise of the Lord. I'll just go to the part where he says, my Lord, I have seen all kinds of incarnations you have exhibited by your transcendental qualities. But now that you have appeared as a beautiful young woman, I wish to see that form of your Lordship. My Lord, we have come here desiring to see that form of your Lordship, which you showed to the demons to captivate them completely, and in this way enable the demigods to drink nectar. I am very eager to see that form. Right? When Lord Vishnu was thus requested by Lord Shiva, who carries a trident in his hand, he smiled with gravity and replied to Lord Shiva as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, when the demons took away the jug of nectar, I assumed the form of a beautiful woman to bewilder them by directly cheating them, and thus to act in the interest of the demigods. O best of the demigods, I shall now show you my form that is very much appreciated by those who are lusty. Since you want to see that form, I shall reveal it in your presence. Right? So as I said, Lord Shiva only asked for this. Then what happened? The Lord disappeared. Right? After speaking in this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu immediately disappeared. And Lord Shiva remained there with Uma, looking for him all around with moving eyes. He was saying, oh, you said you will show me, suddenly he disappeared. Where did he go? Thereafter, in a nice forest nearby, full of trees with reddish pink leaves and varieties of flowers, Lord Shiva saw a beautiful woman playing with a ball. Her hips were covered with a shining sari and ornamented with a belt. Because the ball was falling down and bouncing up as she played with it, her breast trembled, and because of the weight of those breasts and her heavy flower garlands, her waist appeared to be all but breaking at every step, as her two soft feet, which were reddish like coral, moved here and there. The woman's face was decorated by broad, beautiful, restless eyes, which moved as the ball bounced here and there from her hand. The two brilliant earrings on her ears decorated her shining cheeks, like bluish reflections, and the hair scattered on her face made her even more beautiful to see. As she played with the ball, the sari covering her body became loose and her hair scattered. She tried to bind her hair with her beautiful left hand, and at the same time she played with the ball by striking it with her right hand. This was so attractive that the Supreme Lord, by his internal potency, in this way captivated everyone. While Lord Shiva observed the beautiful woman playing with the ball, she sometimes glanced at him and slightly smiled in bashfulness. As he looked at the beautiful woman and she watched him, he forgot both himself and Uma, his most beautiful wife, as well as his associates nearby. When the ball leaped from her hand and fell at a distance, the woman began to follow it. But as Lord Shiva observed these activities, a breeze suddenly blew away the fine dress and belt that covered her. Thus Lord Shiva saw the woman, every part of whose body was beautifully formed, and the beautiful woman also looked at him. Therefore, thinking that she was attracted to him, Lord Shiva became very much attracted to her. Lord Shiva, his good sense taken away by the woman because of lusty desires to enjoy with her, became so mad for her that even in the presence of Bhavani, he did not hesitate to approach her. The beautiful woman was already naked, and when she saw Lord Shiva coming towards her, she became extremely bashful. Thus she kept smiling, but she hid herself among the trees and did not stand in one place. His senses being agitated, Lord Shiva, victimized by lusty desires, began to follow her, just as a lusty elephant follows a she-elephant. After following her with great speed, Lord Shiva caught her by the braid of her hair and dragged her near him. Although she was unwilling, he embraced her with his arms. Being embraced by Lord Shiva like a female elephant embraced by a male, the woman, whose hair was scattered, swirled like a snake. O king, this woman, who had large high hips, was a woman of Yogamaya, presented by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She released herself somehow or other from the fond embrace of Lord Shiva's arms and ran away. As if harassed by an enemy in the form of lusty desires, Lord Shiva followed the path of Lord Vishnu, who acts very wonderfully and who had taken the form of Mohini. Just as a maddened bull elephant follows a female elephant who is able to conceive pregnancy, Lord Shiva followed the beautiful woman and discharged semen, even though his discharge of semen never goes in vain. O king, wheresoever on the surface of the globe fell the semen of the great personality of Lord Shiva, mines of gold and silver later appeared. Following Mohini, Lord Shiva went everywhere, near the shores of the rivers and lakes, near the mountains, near the forests, near the gardens, and wherever there lived great sages. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of the kings, when Lord Shiva had fully discharged semen, he could see how he himself had been victimized by the illusion created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, he restrained himself from any further mind. Thus, Lord Shiva could understand his position and that of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has unlimited potencies. Having reached this understanding, he was not at all surprised by the wonderful way Lord Shiva had acted upon him. Seeing Lord Shiva unagitated and unashamed, Lord Vishnu, Madhusudana, was very pleased. Thus he resumed his original form and spoke as follows. You know, you see this wonderful pastime. And the main thing it is trying to convey to us is that, see, this material world is made because we want to enjoy in this world, right? And the Lord's, in His unlimited abilities, when He creates illusion, it will bind you, keep you captivated. And in order to illustrate the power of Maya, right, in this particular pastime, Lord showed how He captivated Lord Shiva himself. Right? It's considered as the Adi Yogi. It's considered as, the most evolved, right, of all living entities. I mean, He's not a living entity, but most evolved of everyone. So, in this material world, we need to understand that attraction to matter, anything material that we try to enjoy in this world, is never going to satisfy us. Right? There's usually a mental exercise we can do about all the things, we have been materially attracted in our life. Right? Just think about, we're all of different ages, different backgrounds, different situations. Sometimes to take some time to very, what shall we say, truthfully and very, because this is an exercise with yourself, so you can be, what shall I say, unabashed and be truthful to yourself and say, okay, let me make a list of all the things that materially attracted me to this point of my life. Right? Now, when you make that list, you can put these things into 3 buckets. Right? One bucket is some things you are very attracted to, but they never got fulfilled. Right? Wouldn't we all have something in that list? Right? So, something that really attracted you but never got fulfilled. Second list, something that very much attracted you, you worked hard to get it, and then what happened? Huh? You get a little bit, huh? And then it will actually end up disappointing you. You thought you wanted something, this, I want this, I want this. Once you get it, it's like, huh? It's not great. Like this is, and it's actually disappointing. And what you are attracted to, you're feeling aversion towards it. Doesn't it happen? The same thing, it's like, oh, it's not good. Right? You get, after you work hard, after you get it, you're disappointed with it. It doesn't satisfy you really. You had experiences of this, everybody? Right? And then the final bucket. So there are only 3 buckets. So what do you think the final bucket is going to be? Right? Anybody wants to take a guess? Huh? What you have? Yes, you really liked it. You really got it. And you're happy about it, and what will happen to it finally? Fine, you want more of it, but what is going to happen to whatever Huh? It will end. It will be taken away from you. Right? You really wanted it. You worked really very hard to get it. You're very happy about it. You're really very happy about it. Nothing, not that you're not happy. But Kala is made in such a way that very same thing that gives you happiness will give you sadness. Because it will be taken away from you. Right? Nothing, at best in this life, till death you can enjoy. No, not death, it will be taken away from you. Right? And many of the things, Bhagavatam explains how this category, third category, you're also very anxious all the time. Oh, I don't want to lose this. Right? Is there anything else, apart from these three categories, anybody can think of in this material world? Any other possibilities are there? Huh? So, pride due to possession is, you may develop pride because you're possessing it. In the third category it falls, but ultimately it will be taken away from you. Whether you're either, because you're proud means is not the second category. Because second category you're disappointed about it, you won't be proud about something you're disappointed. You get it, you're very proud about it, or you're not proud of it, doesn't matter. You might be very sattvic and say, oh, no, I'm going to very nicely controlled way enjoy, whatever. But still, it's temporary. Right? You didn't desire and you got it. Huh? See, if you go back and trace, you may not have explicitly desired now. That is why in the Shastras it explains. The first category is there now that you didn't get. That desire is not going away. Huh? It's stored as a bija. As a seed, it is all very nicely captured. Because the Lord wants to make sure that everything you desire you should get. Why you don't get now? Because your desire impedes the desire of other living entities. And so the Lord has to create an equal playing ground. And that is the world of karma. So every desire you have that is unfulfilled will sit as a seed. Right? Just like, the hills behind us, the Milpitas hills. Back in, a few months ago, September, October, even up to November, they were all looking, very brown and there was no life, right? Like all subdued. Especially in the desert, you will see this, desert hills. And when the rain falls, suddenly beautiful flowers will but just for a few days. The whole hills will be beautiful colored flowers. Where were they? Where were those flowers? Where were those plants? The seed form. Right? They were sitting in that, but you can't see, nothing will come out. But when a favorable situation is created, it will fructify. So like that, all our desires, material desires, they will be sitting in a seed form. When the favorable situation comes, it will fructify. So if you got something that you quote unquote did not like, it is something that you have desired in the past. And it comes. Now you are happy about it. As soon as you become happy about it, you have sowed the seeds of sadness. Do you realize? This material world is created like that. Why? Because one day it'll go away from you. And most of us, right? I mean, unless you become very spiritually elevated, and spiritually elevated person, if you don't become spiritually elevated, what happens? You develop some level of attachment. Attachment means at least that, oh, it is there, it's nice. That whatever is nice, when it goes away, it's like, oh, it is not there anymore. Now so that's why Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is giving us, that, okay, listen, this whole cycle, this whole thing is bound to create ultimately suffering for you. So, what is the secret Krishna gives? Who is a Prasannatma? Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kankshati. Right? One who does not lament for the past or hanker for the future. Shitoshna Sukha Dukkada. One who is equipoised in Sukha and Dukkha, in happiness and distress. And in the Shastras, in the Bhagavatam, in many places it is described that the form of a woman, again, woman for a man, man for a woman, both are the same. Right? You can interchangeably use that. What does the word stri mean in Sanskrit? To expand. Right? As if you didn't have enough problems of your own. Right? This is in chemistry, you heard of the word catalyst? Right? What is a catalyst? To accelerate. A catalyst accelerates the reaction. Reaction is happening. But as soon as you add the catalyst, the reaction increases in intensity. So Stri is like that. It is a source of expansion. Very nicely, Kunti Maharani in her prayers, right? When she's saying the prayers, then she's saying how Pandushu, Vrishnushu is, she explains. She's saying, I have, as a woman, I have two families, right? This Pandu family and the Vrishnu's family, right? So, if you see, as soon as a man and woman get together, their circle of concern doubles immediately, right? See, earlier you had responsibility for one father, one mother. Right? Suddenly now, two more people got added in that category. Father-in-law, mother-in-law. You had your own siblings, now you have brother-in-law, sister-in-law. Right? And then, if you just think about it, like their children, their this thing, if you go on like that, your head will just go for just, just make a list of relatives that, immediate relatives, blood relatives they say, right? Just, one level down. Immediate relatives is like, those you share with your blood. And then one more relative is just their blood, right? Just that level only you go, don't go beyond that. Now just sit and make a list of people like that for a person who is 50, 60, 70 years old. Such a huge list it will become. Right? So that is the nature of this Stri expansion. Now, Prabhupada, in this purport over here, is talking about how one should remain unagitated, right? In the face of all kinds of situations. So, the nature of this world is to attract us into all this different kinds of sort of traps that are created. Now, how to stop this entire cycle of things from starting? There is only one lever that we have. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about this. Like, how does this attraction to sense objects begin? What is the starting point? Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. If you see Lord Shiva's bewilderment also, right? Everything was good. Like, okay, oh, Mohini came. Now, this world is created in such a way, like, in that purport to those few of those verses you should see, Prabhupada talks about how this rascal civilization creates different, games and all these things for women to play with balls, like that Prabhupada is chastising. How we have created this whole thing. Everybody knows that the biggest problem is this attraction between man and woman. But this entire world is centered around that and made to enhance that and complicate that and pull you in. Right? Simplest way to understand this is, especially in India, this is more this thing, because here billboards are not that much allowed. Right? We don't see too many billboards over here. In India, you go on any street, just billboard after billboard after billboard. It's like, right? What is there in all those billboards? Typically, Maya, in what form? It does not matter what they are selling. There will be a woman next to it. Right? Have you noticed this? Does not matter what it is. Some big sophisticated scientific equipment also. There will be one woman next to that. No connection between the two. Right? And in fact, in the advertising industry, right, anybody has got little familiarity with that. When advertisers pay, they pay per, there's a word that is used. Pay per view, but there's a word, the specific word they use in the industry. They don't call it view. It's a very spiritual world, meaning it will tell you the reality of this, how this world advertising works. Have you heard they call it pay per impression? Look at how Krishna has put the right word in there, this thing. They're trying to impress you. Impression. Why? Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. It doesn't matter. You see, even for that matter, when YouTube, these Google people are very smart. Right? They'll allow you to skip the ad after how many seconds? Right? It is not that they are very kind to you when they are doing this. They have done all kinds of research, psychoanalysis, scientists are involved, they have done a research. In 5 seconds, we'll get you. If we don't get you in 5 seconds, anyway you're not interested, why am I wasting your time and my time? If I have got you in that 5 seconds, my job is done, impression is created. Right? That's why they'll allow you to skip after 5 seconds. Very smart. Why can't it be 0 seconds? Because it takes you some time to get your Dhyato Vishayan Pumsaha. Your eyes should fall, and they will make sure those 5 seconds, I'm sure. If anybody is in this industry, when they're creating ads for YouTube, they will make sure those 5 seconds are like, they do the job. Right? So this is the nature of this world. So we have to understand this world. If Lord Shiva can get bewildered, one should develop humility and a little bit of fearfulness. How this world can be entangling and bewildering. Now at the same time, the Krishna consciousness, the way we overcome this is not through abstainment. Our goal is like, no, I have to stop this, I have to stop that, I have to give up this. That is the way of the Jnanis and the yogis. That is their process. Our process is, right? What is our process? Engaging in the service of the Lord. Engaging those senses, same this thing. When they are connected to the Lord, when they are engaged in the service of the Lord, the same senses, same activities can be liberating, can get us out of this material entanglement. Right? So, we should understand over here the nature of this world, the nature of attraction, and then how Lord Shiva himself gives an example. One should be careful. And that is why, for any spiritualist, depending on, does not matter what ashrama you are in, everybody has to practice brahmacharya. Everybody has to practice celibacy. A brahmachari practices celibacy by completely abstaining from any connection with the opposite sex. A grihastha practices celibacy by following the rules and regulations of the ashrama, very regulated way, engaging and connecting everything to the Lord and practices. Vanaprastha practices celibacy by detaching themselves, engaging more. And sannyasi goes back to completely abstaining and fully engaged with the Lord. Okay? So this is the secret of Krishna consciousness. Jai Srila Prabhupada. We'll stop here. Anybody has any quick question or comment? We are created initially. Now, see, the word creation is because of our material conditioning. Something is formed, something dies, birth, creation. That's just a material conditioning. We are eternal. That is a large. Eternally, we are supposed to enjoy with the Lord, Supreme Lord. That is why we are there. Now that's why this gets a little bewildering. Now, why are we here? That you can answer differently. Why are we in this material world? It's because we want to enjoy independent of the Lord. And this is the only place where you can try that. That's the little bewildering thing to know. Because we are eternally there. It's nothing like we are created. And in the land of eternality, 1 minus 1 is also 1. 1 plus 1 is also 1. Infinity plus infinity is also infinity. Infinity minus infinity is also infinity. So it's a difficult thing to understand in that nonsense. Okay, we'll stop here. Gantrat Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Bol Premanande.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.